Oh, yeah, it's go time. Woo! All right, my peeps, are you ready for a show today? I said we're going to be adventurous. Well, we are. I'm here with the one and only Greg Fisher of Well-Oiled Machine. And I got to tell you straight up, Greg, right before we even start, man, when I think of that, I'm going to throw back my roots, man. I used to do a little farming. I know, well-oiled machine. I'm thinking of a John Deere tractor just plowing through the field, taking everybody under control, man. So welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you. Excited to be here, man.
Dude, love the background. Tell everybody where you're from, man, because I love that background.
Yeah, so I'm in a little mountain town in Colorado called Evergreen. To me, it's the best of both worlds, where this is my view.
Ooh, look at that, man. Wow.
It's hard to work because every day I'm just like, I want to be out there. But I'm only 45 minutes from Denver, so I can have the city life when I want it. But most of the time, I'm just chilling here in the mountains.
All right, so in October, when I'm in Denver for Staffing World, man, we got to connect, brother. For sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Little bourbon, little bean, whatever we need, man. We'll be good to go.
Show you a good time.
Awesome, brother. Okay, so let's just deep dive into this, man. I'm ready for this campfire chat, man. We're going to have fun with this. So the logo, we talked about this offline. I'm going to put this up here, but this logo, there's so much that goes behind this famous logo here. Look at this, man. This was the... Was this like just when you were like brainstorming one night or what?
Yeah. So I'd already come up with the name, obviously, at this point. And I don't know. I've always wanted to do something a little bit interesting and like evoke imagery, evoke feeling, like you were saying earlier, like you used to have a tractor, right? Like to me, it's like a powerful name and logo, evoke feelings. And for me, people think about hiring offshore and nearshore, and they think about how broken it is. And I'm like, we need to change that. And so I don't know, it was just got to the whiteboard, started playing around and came up with the basics, and then handed it off to somebody much better than I when it comes to graphic design to take it to the final point.
So I got to ask you, brother, how many names did you go through? Because, for mine, I went through a million names. I'm thinking, with this one.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, so many. I wish I could think of them on the spot right now, but I think I knew I wanted to evoke imagery because, like, also it's just like technically I'm a recruitment firm, right? Recruitment firm names are so freaking boring.
Okay, so let's go back.
It's like the blah 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 group, and I'm like, no,
you're right. They're so boring. They say personnel services. They say some kind of blah blah name, and I got to tell you, the logos. Not to say I have the greatest logo, but you know what? I always say at the end of the day, your logo is who you are. Bring out the creativity. Don't just put like a head and an elbow like you're at the YMCA. That's boring.
Yeah. So I was like, first of all, I don't want to be boring. Like, I need to come across as different because what we do is really different. And I've always been a big believer in imagery, and like I enjoy writing poetry and like thinking very visually. And so that was like, I knew that. And so I kind of knew conceptually, like, I want to create an image of something that runs really well. And because people picture broken and works very poorly when they think of offshore and nearshore. And so I knew that, started brainstorming for a while, went to ChatGPT, and I'm like, ChatGPT, I'm not looking for company names, but just give me like imagery, idiom. And so it started pulling up a ton of different things. And I hate to say it, it came up with the idea, well-oiled machine. And I'm like, damn, that's so good. I feel lame saying ChatGPT helped me come up with my company name.
No,
but
man.
In reality, it did. And it worked really freaking well.
Dude, I love the name. And then, let's just dive into the offshore recruiting. Because, Greg, I gotta tell you, man, I've dealt with offshore recruiting back like 10, 15 years ago, and it totally changed now. It's totally a game changer. And I think a lot of people don't understand what goes behind it. They just think, well, I want to just keep it in the States, but there's so many, positives about this. Break down what your company does, and we'll dive into it.
Yeah, we are the most niche recruitment firm you've probably never thought of. So we recruit recruiters for recruitment firms, predominantly offshore and nearshore is our specialty, though we do it in the US as well. One of the big things that makes us different, aside from being absurdly niche in this space, is, and we pass on any business outside of recruitment firms and staffing agencies. But one of the things that makes us unique is that we operate in a direct hire model, whereas anybody who touches on this space, they focus on the staffing model where
Mhm.
anywhere from half to three quarters of the money that the agency pays goes to the staffing firm, not the actual employee. We're big believers in like, if you want to get a high performing recruiter, like they need to be getting the majority of paycheck, not me.
Yeah. Oh, I love that model. I love it. So, how many countries do you work with right now? Like, I mean, where do you get your recruiters from?
Yeah, so we work across the three. There's three big regions in the world that tend to supply high quality recruiters.
Yeah.
One of them is Latin America, which is probably where 60% of our searches are these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, especially Brazil. Brazil and Mexico are the biggest two. I don't know why people talk about like Costa Rica and these tiny little countries. There's almost no population there. Brazil is like, I think it's something like a quarter of all of Latin America's population is in Brazil. It's maybe not quite that high, but it's a huge percentage of the population is in Brazil and Mexico, and they have really mature economies. So we go across Latin America. Brazil and Mexico are the big two. We've recently made some great placements from Peru, though. We do a lot of recruitment in Southeast Asia. Philippines and India are the two largest hubs where you find great overlap in a very strong background in recruitment and some very high performers, but also a lot of alignment with US hours. Pakistan is probably the next. And then there's some smaller ones, but there's such large talent pools there. We usually don't need to go outside of that. And then we do a little bit of recruitment in Africa on the occasions when we work with clients in Europe and you get good time zone alignment. South Africa and Nigeria are probably the largest two hubs there.
And you know what I love? I mean, seriously, I've been working with them in the last couple of years. I tell you what, everybody I've reached out to that is an international recruiter is always nice. They're always in a good mood, Greg. Can I say that? I mean, I wish America was like that. Seriously, all joking aside, they're always in a good mood, and they're very prompt on getting back to you. I mean, I'm going to be facts about that. I mean, that's something that I think that your model maybe you can elaborate on, because that promptness, that's a key this day. That fast service, getting it done the right way.
Yeah, well, I think here's the thing that I've seen is in the United States, and look, I live in the US, I think we have a very high degree of entitlement and arrogance.
Can you say that again? Seriously, because I go to other countries, and you know what they say, the exact word? You're a spoiled brat in the United States. I mean, they say that over and over again. We are entitled a lot. I mean, come on. You can go anywhere and go to Taco Bell right now, and they're half the countries. They would just love to have a burrito,
Yeah. Or the other day, somebody was describing like cultural personality archetypes, and he's like, in the US, everybody thinks they're Superman. And so, yeah, I mean, look, it's a generalization, but there is some truth there. What I think when you start to look at other countries, and especially like when somebody has the opportunity to be a recruiter in somewhere like, say, the Philippines working for the US, this is such a golden opportunity. Whereas like most people in the US are like, I'm an entry level recruiter, blah, 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 blah. I want all these things. Like, I don't feel super stoked about it. Like somewhere like the Philippines, if you say live in the greater Manila area, you could easily be commuting 3-4 hours a day. And the majority of the jobs at best are hybrid. So to have the opportunity to work fully remote is just incredibly rare on its own. A US company should be able to pay above market pay. So somebody's going to be getting taken well care of. There's a lot of prestige for working for US companies, deserved or not deserved. There is a lot of prestige there. And so this is like, you compare being a sourcer or a recruiter in the US, and people look at this like a C or a B job. In somewhere like the Philippines, if you set it up right, it's an A job. So yeah, of course, somebody's like stoked to show up and is going to be in a good attitude because you're taking really good care of them.
Yeah, man, amazing stuff. Okay, so let's go back a little bit. I mean, you worked for some companies, before you jumped into this. What made you start this? I mean, we know the logo came out and all that good stuff. What made you say, I'm going to do an offshore recruiting firm?
Oh, man. So idea was seeded initially with my last company. So I was the first recruiter hired by a solo recruiter doing healthcare recruitment.
Mm-hmm.
And together, I think we made a really good team and we started to grow. Got stuck at about $1 million a year in perm placements, and just didn't really have enough profit there or desire, I think, appetite for risk to go hire a salesperson. But that's what we needed, was more sales. And we're like, I don't want to wait 6 months to see if we get a positive ROI here. And so we're like, okay, let's find a more creative way to do this. We started going to hire offshore. We worked with a couple of agencies. It was horrible. Like, we spent more time just bashing our head into the wall trying to get what we wanted from their source.
I know them days, right?
Ourselves. Yeah. So rough experience, but like, we were really determined. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, why the hell did you keep doing this? But we're like, okay, like let's do, after we tried a couple agencies, we're like, let's go do this ourselves. Let's go find people. And we started like looking on Upwork for freelancers, up and down experiences, found some good people, but a lot of unreliable people. And eventually we're like, okay, like we just need to view this like our own internal team. And we had some success developing some really good US based recruiters. And we're like, we need to go interview 10 people instead of just hiring the first person who says they can do this. Like, we need to invest in training. We need to invest in management. Like, we need to bring them in just like any other member of our team. And when we started doing that, things took off. I think a couple other things fell into our lap on the client side. But fast forward 3 years and we were a $4 million agency. And we had 38 team members. 18 of them were based internationally. One of our executives was based in the Philippines. Like, truly just a huge part of our company. And so after 10 years in the business, I'd become a part owner, but had become pretty disenfranchised with the vision. And there were some very, very big gaps between myself and the main owner.
Mm-hmm.
Made the decision to leave and started doing some consulting. And I was super burnt out in recruitment. I'm like, I'm not going to have an agency. Started doing some consulting.
It brings you back in, right?
Yeah. So I started doing consulting and I was really resistant. And I'm like, hey, Richard, I'll show you how to build your agency. I'll show you how to go find your own team. And everybody's like, hey, Greg, this is great, but like, can you go find the people? And I'm like, no, I'm not a recruiter. Well, after, I mean, you're in sales, you get this. I had 20 sales calls in the first like 3 months, which was great. I was stoked. I was like, everybody wants to talk to me. I think I signed 2 clients and I'm like, okay, there's a problem here. Like,
yeah, something's going on here.
People need help, but like what you're offering isn't what people need. And so after enough conversations, I'm like, okay, I think the biggest value add here is consulting, like helping people figure out like what role should you hire for, what country should it be in, what should you pay, but then going out and finding A players, going out and finding high performers in that country. And so we switched the business model in July to being a recruitment firm for international recruiters. And since then, things have taken off. And within a few months, we're already up to a team of 3. And I could see us probably being 6 or 7 of us by the end of the year.
Dude, I love that. So you already had the model set up with your previous company. So you knew this worked. So it was all going in. You were like, I know this can work. All I need to do is tweak it with my well-oiled machine and we're good to go.
Yeah. No, and it really worked. Like, we certainly weren't perfect at my last company, but we built to a good size. We were super profitable. And not only did I never have to take a sales call or a recruitment call, I wasn't managing those teams. Like, we had built a strong leadership team. And so I think as close as a company ever gets to being a well-oiled machine, we did that before. And so I'm like, man, this was such a beautiful thing. Like, we had like 10% annual turnover. People were really happy.
10%? Is that it?
10%, wow. Like 10 to 15%, depending on the role. And so like, I was like, man, I want to help other companies replicate this because the owners win, but the team members win. Like, this is such a cool thing.
I love it. Okay, so let's get some strategies there. What are you guys doing now? So staffing firms out there are like on that edge. Maybe should I get offshore? Should I call Greg? Give us a couple of strategies that you guys are doing that's like overcoming what the obstacle is. Because we know right now, you can't find candidates anywhere who wants to work, right? I mean, that's what the problem is, and to get a good recruiter on the phone all the time. There's another problem.
Yeah. Well, first thing I'll say is you do not need to work with an agency like myself or any other to do this. Again, that was my first idea. Just nobody wanted to do the work, but it's not rocket science. I think part of it is getting the right model in place. So you kind of have to switch gears and think of like, if I were to do this in the US, what would this look like? And you end up having to replicate a lot of that. So like, this isn't going to be, you're not going to find a high performer who's part-time and working hourly. That's just not the case. It's not the case in the US. It's rarely the case in the US. It's rarely the case internationally. So like you have to first offer a monthly salary, ideally build in some commission structure and ask somebody, what do you want to earn? And they say 1,500. And you say, great. What if you have $1,000 base and I can get you to 2,000, but only if you produce? And that's whether they're a recruiter, whether they're a sourcer. So build a base salary plus commission plus paid vacation. And so like, first of all, you have to have that model right to be able to go get somebody. It should be a direct relationship. Again, if you go through a true staffing agency, at least half the paycheck is going to the agency. They're probably not going to be managing them and training them the way you want. You're going to have to own that anyways. So hire them directly. There are 1,001 payment platforms. Deal is the big name. I'm not a huge fan of Deal. We use Thera. If anybody's curious about international payment platforms, I can tell you the good, the bad, the ugly with those. And then here's the good news. If they're a recruiter and they're a decent recruiter, they're on LinkedIn. And so like, if you want to know our secret, we spend all day on LinkedIn.
You live on LinkedIn. Is that it?
And like, here's the deal. If a recruiter is not on LinkedIn and they're not responding to their email, we probably don't want them anyway. So it makes it really easy. Like if you want to go do this yourself, hop on LinkedIn, throw in some Boolean in your industry, throw in recruiter titles, pick the right time, and then go to work messaging people.
I love that. Okay, so I know staffing firms out there are going to say this. What about the time difference? Because that is something everybody talks about. It's like, how do you make that work?
Yeah. So, well, it depends on the region. So first of all, Latin America is essentially aligned with US time zones. Brazil is a bit past Eastern time. So if you're like a PST agency, sometimes Brazil can have some issues, but often not the case. So first of all, like if you don't even want to think about time zone, somewhere like Latin America is really easy. Africa can be challenging with that, especially because a lot of people in Africa will work for European agencies that are time zone line. So you can find it, but it's a little bit more challenging. Asia will have strong cultures built around supporting the US. India has that. The Philippines is really built around supporting the US. And so maybe not everybody is going to want to work US hours, but you'll find a lot of team members to do that. And then I would also challenge the agency owners to think about, is it needed to do this? And for a lot of sourcing roles, I see agencies hiring in the Philippines with 4 hours of overlap and 4 hours of flex time. But like we have an incredible Filipino recruiter here at our team. And she just works US hours, but ends her day early on Friday so that she like isn't pulling out of the weekend.
What's her name, by the way, Greg? No, I'm just joking because everybody will be like, I want that recruiter. I'm just messing with you.
No.
Keep that quiet. Oh, that's too funny. Okay, so I got to tell you about this. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, the cost effectiveness on all this, like, so I got to ask you, like, so a lot of staffing firms are like, they're trying to save money. This could be cost effective, but also productive. I mean, can you break that down for everybody?
Yeah. So I will share our exact number. I'll share a bunch of numbers here. So we pay our recruiters a base salary of $2,400 a month.
And you're giving everything out, man. This is great. I mean, you're just
right. Like
a time out before we go any farther. You know how people say they have secrets in staffing? There's no secret, right, Greg? You're as raw and real as can be right now. You're giving your whole playbook right here.
Absolutely. The one and only thing that is remotely proprietary here is we've built a list of about 130 international agencies with notes on the personality archetypes and skill sets of them. Yeah. So like we built that. That actually is somewhat proprietary. Probably wouldn't throw that out there, but because we know that's how we know where to headhunt from. Anything else we're an open book. So our expectation for our recruiters here at Well-Oiled Machine is a minimum of $300,000 a year in placements. But I think quite a bit more is doable. And this is we essentially work on a direct hire model. We pay a $2,400 a month base salary and 10% commission on that. Purnima, who joined our team in Q4, is crushing it. Year to date, she already has $75,000 in placements. So I think she's well on her way to hitting $400,000.
Good job for her.
Yeah.
Shout out. Woo, that's
she is a rock star, which by the way, my last agency, our benchmark was like our US based recruiters were doing $400,000. So if Purnima comes in and delivers $400,000 in placements, she'll end up making, call it $65,000, which is very, very, very good pay in Latin America. Yeah. I'm very happy to bring in $400K in revenue on that $65,000. By the way, because our team are contractors, we're not paying any labor burden. So I'm essentially getting another 30% discount because I'm not responsible for taxes and those other pieces. So I think that's good. I challenge my clients when hiring internationally to say, what is the benchmark you would set for a US recruiter? Instead of lowering your benchmark, find somebody who can do that. Find a way to overpay your team because you're still going to do really well financially and you want to take care of them. I feel like I gave you a lot to chew on there. Happy to dive more into some other numbers based on different countries too.
No, I love that. Let's go a couple more countries. Just something else besides Latin America. Dive into one more.
Yep. So let's say you're going to look for a sourcer, which is often hired in India and the Philippines. Usually what I tend to see is a base salary between $800 and $1,200 a month, plus commission that should take this role to $1,400 to $1,800 a month.
Ooh, Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very, very low. Like you shouldn't even have a lot of tech costs because you're probably going to want them working from within your team members' LinkedIn or within their Indeed accounts anyway. So they're getting access to those candidates. So incredibly low. And honestly, like I would argue a lot of our international recruiters are probably better than our US based recruiters at sourcing because that's like the world that they lived in.
What you're building here is a big community. I got to tell you straight up, like here, because I can picture all these recruiters never leaving you because you're cool as hell anyway. But I got to tell you, the money they're making compared to what they can make in their country, it can't even compare. I mean, they're living like queens and kings.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we take good care of our team. Like are there people in those countries earning more? Of course, but we're paying above market. I think the work for our team, like we look to bring on team members where this is very meaningful work. Like we're creating job opportunities for people who otherwise wouldn't. And like we spend a lot of time working with our clients to make sure like if we bring you an A player, like you sure as hell better take care of them. And that's really, really rewarding work for us. And like it creates this win-win-win that is the beauty of recruitment done well.
Now, when you reach out to the clients and you tell them you're an offshore recruiting, do you get any pushback, or how do you educate them on how this could be so productive for them?
Videos.
There you go. Give it up, man. Videos.
Yeah. So we pull clips from our conversations with candidates because I think, look, in the US, we have a very biased perception of somebody in another country is going to speak very formally, rigidly, with a thick accent, because that's a lot of our experiences, like getting on the phone with American Airlines when we're already pissed off about our flight getting rescheduled. And we talk to somebody who feels very rigid because they're taught follow the script and don't think for yourself, which we could get into the cultural issues there because we create a lot of this ourselves. But that's our perception. And it is so dead wrong. So we overcome that by saying, look, you want to see what a $400,000 producer looks like in Mexico? Here's a 60-second clip from our conversation. And people are like, oh my gosh, this person speaks better than I do. Okay. Yeah. You proved it.
Wow. I love that. Yeah. I would say they would. I'm from Pittsburgh, man. We chip and chop everywhere. Can you tell?
Yeah.
We are. We're known for our chipped ham and more ways than one. But no, that makes sense. The video. So, I endorse video all the time. If anybody's out there listening, I mean, just not for offshore, but like video does produce it because they look at that and they're like, wow, I want that recruiter. I want that person to work for me. Am I right?
Yeah. And it's part of our outreach process on the sales side. It's part of when we do a sales call, we show profiles and videos clips, and then it's actually part of our submission process. And I think now, like I came from healthcare recruitment. I'm like, why the hell didn't I do this then? I think it should probably be a part of most submission processes.
And you know what I love? You're making an impact across the world. That's what I like to, globally. It's just not like, it's like, we want to love everybody. And I think what you're doing with your recruiters right now, they're having a successful life with their family, stuff like that. So it's one of them things where it's beyond the recruiting scale, Greg. I mean, I think you're just making a great impact beyond everybody on the globe.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, that's really the goal. Like if I'm being really honest, like when I first started hiring internationally, I definitely treated our international team members like second tier employees to some degree and like set a lower bar and arguably probably like talk down and didn't give them the same opportunity as our team. And like, as I got to know our team and see how brilliant they were, like we had one of our sourcers who eventually became a sourcer, Claude, he built out SOPs that blew any SOPs that I ever wrote out of the water. And like, I developed an immense amount of respect for our team and I saw how wrong I was. And I'm like, this is just the American mindset. Like we think we're better than everybody else and like nobody can do it like us. And it's just not true. Like it doesn't matter where you sit, but who you are and what you're capable of. And so like, look, at the end of the day, I run a company to financially produce like money for myself and my team, but like there is a really big impact and it's to change the mindset through that. And like, yeah, the clients we work with will see that, but also hopefully we can educate some other people along the way and change that narrative.
You're so right. I go to Planet Fitness and there's a big sign that says no judgment zone. No, seriously, man. I live by that because everybody has a heartbeat. And everybody has a heart, man. So at the end of the day, I think that's one thing that we're not knocking the US, but you know what? Everybody has a fair chance till they prove you wrong. So love everybody, man. And I love what you're doing. Hey, you know what? We got a shout out here. Look at this. Amanda's.
Oh, Amanda.
Go, Greg.
Amanda's awesome, by the way.
Boom, grow, baby.
Yeah, you might have to have her on a conversation too if you haven't already.
I love that. And before
Yeah.
we wrap things up here, I mean, everything's great. Everybody's going to say, okay, Greg, this is great. You started this, the machine's flying by, give us a little bit of like, was there some pitfalls in the beginning? Was there anything, obstacles? Because, at the end of the day, nothing's perfect, man.
Yeah, there were a couple. I mean, first of all, just arriving at the place where we figured out our business model. Initially, I was thinking I was starting a consulting practice.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one. Once we figured out the business model, two more. I get really burnt out from recruiting. I am a very deep
Oh,
introvert. Getting on the phone and meeting 40 new people a week, I can do it. I can do it well, but it will burn me out. So the second I launched it and it was just me, I'm like, I have to get a recruiter in here or I'm going to burn out fast. And thankfully I found an incredible recruiter in Vornima. And then the third challenge was pricing. And we came into this thinking we needed to charge one rate, which is already above market. Very
yeah.
quickly realized that the value we added was way off and created, I would say, a one-of-a-kind pricing structure for a direct hire agency. And it's worked really well for us. And we've effectively doubled our prices while actually increasing the closing percentage from sales calls.
Look at you, man, crushing it. One other question is the interview process. When you first started there, how many people did you interview? I mean, from other countries before you really said, this is the core 3 to 4 people I want to really work with. I mean,
First,
come on. It had to be a process. You're like, because it's different time zones. So you're probably like 9 o'clock at night interviewing somebody. Am I right? 10 o'clock?
yeah.
You're in the morning?
Well, I'm a big fan of like figure out what time zone you want to operate in and find people
Okay.
who work to talk there. So thankfully not that. But I interviewed 32 potential recruiters before
32.
finding Fornima.
Wow. Is there some that was there like, I mean, one interview or is it like, I mean, because some people, they're going to say, okay, so if I interview people from another country, is it take one interview, 2, 3? How do you go about that?
Man, treat offshore like onshore. It's like what would your US based process look like? Most
Perfect.
of our clients do 3 rounds. And then the other big thing that we push our clients to do, it's funny, we make our work harder, but we're like, no, you can't just do 1 round. You need to do 3. And one of the big things we push our clients for is practical assessments. So if you were, say, interviewing a full cycle recruiter, record an intake call, have them watch the intake call, and then say, like, I want you to evaluate this search. Like, maybe write some outreach copy for this search as though if you were sending a LinkedIn message. Tell me what you think the hiring manager is looking for. What would you have said differently in the call? And then give them the recording of a call with a candidate that a recruiter did for that search. Ideally, not one that you did if you're not a solo operator, because they're going to be less honest. And then say, okay, like, first of all, how would you rate this candidate on a scale of 1 to 10? Why would you do that? Second, evaluate the recruiter. What did they do well that you liked? What would you have done differently? Now have them record some Loom videos and send you those answers ahead of time. In your final interview, break down their answers, give them constructive feedback, see how coachable somebody is, and you really get inside their head and to see where's their starting point as a recruiter.
That's a key coachable, if you can coach somebody, I mean, I think you can make anybody a rock star in recruiting. It's not rocket scientists, that.
100%. Yeah. And I'm a huge fan of providing critical feedback, ideally at multiple junctures in the process to see how well somebody receives it.
Man, good stuff. Okay, before we wrap it up here, and we're going to get out of here, Greg, some of your hobbies, man. I mean, besides doing all this business stuff, what are you doing on the weekends? Hitting the trails in the mountains or what, brother?
Yeah, well, this time of year it's snowboarding, which has been rough with our low snowfall. I'm about to get into mountaineering. I have a kick-ass partner, Ellie, where I'm like, hey, I want to get into like, ice climbing and all this sort of stuff. And she's like, let's do it. So we just signed up for some mountaineering courses, little bit of mountain biking, but yeah, being outside as much as possible.
Dude, gotta love nature, man. I can't wait to see them videos. You're going to be posting stuff like that, right? Hanging on a cliff like cliffhanger. Come on.
I have a post coming out Friday of me and a buddy hiking in a blizzard. So tune in for that one.
Can't wait for that. Okay, Greg, where can everybody meet you at? I mean, I knew you're on LinkedIn, so just live on LinkedIn, man. Just reach out that way.
Yeah. I always love to talk. Like, again, for me, it's, of course, I would love to get more clients, but like a lot of it's changing the narrative and educating people. And like, anybody who has questions, wants to understand platforms, best practices, countries, all that, ping me. Always up to have a conversation.
There it is. Well, hey, brother, thank you for coming on. If you guys get a chance, connect with Greg Fisher, Well-Oiled Machine, man. Love the name, brother. Hey, thank you so much for coming on, man, and sharing your story, buddy.
It was a fun one.
All right, guys. Take care, guys. That's a wrap. See ya.